Alright guys, give me just a second and we will be rocking and rolling. Glad to see everybody in here today. We're already rocking and rolling. So, give me a second. I'm just resetting my wet palette here. And it's a surprise free Patreon weekend. I know I didn't say we were doing that today, but I figured, hey, brand new video starting after 6 months of content, or like a brand new cycle, so to speak. So this weekend, we're working on the post-apocalyptic hunter. The class topic is modern cloth, I believe. Could be wrong. I don't think so though. Give me a second to double check. I think it's modern cloth is like the official topic today. And then next weekend for the plus tier, we are doing an Eldritch palette working on Kaiser Stedwick. Pretty cool miniature as well. Yeah, so today is modern cloth. Next weekend, December 26th, Eldritch palette. January, our classes are worn leather and fur. So that'll be cool. We're working on the Winter Wolf for the fur class, and I don't know if you've seen that sculpt, but it's huge. So really, really good opportunity to do lots of individual strands of hair, which I know is everybody's nightmare, but it should be pretty simple. And then again, too, if you haven't checked the Patreon group, MPS Scholars, if you are a patron, make sure you check the newest announcement post, the pinned post at the top of the group. We have updated the list to 36 classes. So that's over, I believe, 80 hours of class content at this point, but don't hold me to it. So I'm just going to say that it's 70 hours, but technically it should be over 80 hours worth of content. So if you've been wondering what you get from Patreon, right, you get classes, you get to vote on what classes you want, but you also get access to almost everything. I usually edit the list and just kind of upload, like, I add sort to the archive, so to speak, like the best of the best that we've done. So, so right now we're at 36 classes, looking great. That's over 2 years worth of content, and it's pretty fun stuff. So, but yeah, we'll go ahead and get started here in like 2 minutes. I don't know, whatever. We can get started. I don't really care. we'll just hop on over here. So let me pop this off. Thanks for hanging out yesterday too. We did figure out the issue with the, well, I'm hoping we did, but we figured out what we think went wrong. So we will be streaming again this evening. I'll continue working on the Christmas ornament. We were painting last night. You can see where I got with the 2020 We Survived thing, so it'll be fun. Keep working on that. Sydney actually finished up the other illustration she was working on, so if you guys follow her on social media or her Instagram or anything like that, you definitely saw the post. She did the cherries, putting pits into a furnace. That was pretty cool. She's got a new one she's working on. Yeah, she actually finished up another one too yesterday. She's been doing a ton of work. Wow, I just ripped the glove. But let me reset this to where it makes sense here in our lives. So, this is what we're working on today. A pretty cool post-apocalyptic mini, modern cloth texture, stuff that, you typically wouldn't get. Even with some, like, 40K stuff or Infinity, I mean, most things, too, right, aren't necessarily, people wearing hoodies or jackets or things like that, so. But, should be pretty fun. We'll figure out kind of any freehand that we want to do, paint up the sunglasses, all kinds of fun like that. So, but we can go ahead and get started. So I'm thinking khaki pants. So we'll get started. I'm going to use intense brown for the base coat, and we did start directly on top of black this time. If you did Zenithal highlight, not a big deal. But I figured to give this thing a little bit more of a moody feel, we should just do it directly on top of black. So hopefully it works out relatively rad. So we'll go ahead and get started. But I know a lot of people were excited to go ahead and get everything rocking and rolling with the new set of classes and everything like that. And we have begun. On Patreon, every 6 months, essentially we plan everything out 6 months at a time, so that way, you know, you can look at everything that's coming down the pipeline, and you can make any purchases that you may need ahead of time, right? And then that way too, you can look and see, like, I'm not interested in anything for the next 2 months. So if you do, you know, feel that way, you don't have to stick around. You can leave and come back 2 months later, whatever the case is. You know, I've got people that do that too off and on. But it's also voted on by everybody, which is nice, right? Because that way I know that we're at least hitting topics and things that you are all interested in, right, as patrons. And it allows us to have a pretty good time. I'm excited about these miniatures this time around as well. I didn't really do sort of I don't know. We kind of started branching out more in terms of, like, not necessarily difficulty of sculpts, but just the variety of sculpts themselves. And I think it's been working out pretty well. But now that it isn't amazing coverage currently with the intense brown, but that's okay. Not the end of the world, right? If we're highlighting this all up to be more of a khaki, you know, I really like to stay just kind of loose on that first base coat in general, especially if it's something like this, we're working directly on top of black. It just helps build in a little bit more of that inconsistent nature in the shadow. But I am going back one more time since I have plenty of paint on my brush. Now, of course, that's because we do the 1-to-1 ratio of water to paint on the palette. Keeps the paint active for much longer, allows you to go back, edit, coverage, things like that. So, but go ahead and finish that up right about there. Hey Christian, how's it going, buddy? Obviously it's a little bit harder to see what's going on the miniature because it isn't zenithal, but I don't think it's too drastically impossible to see details or anything. But, alright, so I think we should use this bronzed shadow color here. Pretty much like an ochre, like a tan ochre color. Let me alter this around here. There we go. Just so you can see big old ugly Josh head here. This will be a good highlight color, and then we'll probably end up using like tan skin for the final highlight. I'll go ahead and get that out on the palette too. Since I don't know like how much we're gonna actually highlight it up, I'm not too terribly concerned here. Gosh, look at the tip of this. Looks crazy. Look at the dried cap crud there. Just got a case of the cap crud. There you go. Of course, that means I get paint all over my finger there. Okay. So, 1-to-1 ratio here with our bronzed shadow. Interesting color name for the color that it actually is. Okay. So, really what I'm paying attention to are all of my highlight areas. You can see that I kind of just start at edges and then I pull the brush in the direction that I want it to actually taper. Hey Bill, how's it going? So, just starting the highlight process here. Probably getting closer, can't I? Oh, nope, that's as close as that camera's going. There we go. I did decide that I'm just going to take like a very small quote-unquote break for the holidays, which really just means I'm not going to do anything other than my private lessons until Christmas, and then obviously we have a Patreon class the day after Christmas. So I'll be back to normal then on that Saturday. But we'll be finishing up the Sophie for Miniature Monday. And then that following Monday is a extra week in the month. So we're going to figure out the best way, but I would like people to send me... I think I am going to do a burner Gmail account like we had discussed, so that'll allow me to let you guys just send a bunch of emails, and that way that's the only thing that's going to get caught there, right? I don't have to dig around for stuff, and I don't lose anybody's work. But I would love to have a little like review session going over people's hard work from over the year. I think that's pretty cool. I think it's cool too that we were able to keep it going, because I know that at one point it was a big question when the pandemic started, like whether the show portion of everything at Reaper is going to continue. But obviously now they're starting new shows all the time, so that kind of tells you it doesn't matter. They're kicking around and making stuff happen. I know Aaron had his first show yesterday. And then, of course, the other new person to the roster with Reaper is Luca, Miniatures Den, who streams a lot. It's funny, he still does his normal stream before his Reaper show, which is interesting because I don't do anything else on Mondays other than Miniature Monday, just so I'm fully rocking and raring to go usually. So you can see I'm paying attention to kind of the middle of the thigh here, just because it is a cylindrical shape. A little bit more believable of a highlight pattern there. Okay, so for our first highlight on some khaki pants, easy enough. We'll rotate ourselves around here. Yeah, I mean, he's a full-time Twitch streamer, so... But, I mean, he's kind of like me in terms of his pricing, right? Like, he charges a lot of money for commission stuff. So, you know, for him, it's a mix of his Patreon commissions and then just his standard Twitch income. So the more he's live, the more he's able to advertise the Patreon, everything like that. Just makes sense. Which, for as little money as you make off of Twitch, right, you obviously need to be able to advertise anything else you can at all times, because Twitch is so greedy, man. They get like 50% of all your sub money. So following the same principles as we did on the other side. I haven't actually gotten any more paint on the brush here this whole time. This is all one pull's worth of this color, so to speak. That's why the consistency of your paint is so important, right? Because you don't need to go back and forth to your palette. You can just continually apply new layers over and over and over. Okay. Looks good. So, now I'm going to take our tan skin, and I'm just going to do a tipful into the color we've already been using here. As we continue to highlight our way up. Now we may go back and do something similar color-wise with different parts of the outfit here, but for a post-apocalyptic dude, his outfit isn't really ragged as much as it's just sort of modern clothing, so that's why I'm not necessarily thinking about like dirtying it up, or if there were like tears and stuff sculpted in the clothes, because some of the other Chronoscope minis that are like survivors do have like tears and rips and stuff in their clothing, and if that were the case, right, then I would definitely pay more attention to that. But he got lucky. He must have raided a Kohl's or something. Got every pair of khaki pants that they had. Okay. I think that looks pretty decent. Let me I'm gonna move this back and down really quick. Oh, look at that. There's always so many miniatures here. There we go. So now, there we go. That's what you guys want. You want the real nice view. I was printing off some I've been messing around with my 3D printer settings, but check these out. These are Noise Marines, non-GW. That's the gray that you're seeing behind the pail there. Okay, continuing on. This leg is not as far forward as the other ones. That's why the highlight amount is a little bit different compared to the opposite leg. Still getting in there where we need to. Okay. Now then, the backside is not going to have just as much direct highlight because his posture, right, is like leaning back. So assuming that our light source is coming from above, I'm not really going to go all out like we did on the front because the legs are jutting out obviously further than his torso. But for visual comprehension's sake, right, we do highlight things up relatively expectedly. I'll go for the middle here of the thigh on the way down. And then, of course, more of a highlight everywhere else. So remember, again, we'll be streaming live again this evening, like we did yesterday. Finishing up the raffle stuff, so art print from Sydney, and then that ornament from myself. I'm excited about that. I feel like the ornament is headed in a good direction. I'm gonna go back a little bit of a darker color here. Kind of tint some of this, coming from the inner thigh. Tint it down a little bit like that. There we go. And by tinting, of course, I just mean glazing. So, an easy frame of reference for you to know like the consistency of paint that you're looking for is essentially like a wash, right? But you're not flooding the color all over your brush like, as you would with a wash, right? To like just dump it on the mini. Instead, you're only grabbing that wash consistency paint on the very tip of your brush, and that's what will allow you to go through and adjust and glaze things. As you can tell already, right? Like we've toned down the highlight that I had there coming from the inner thigh. I'll do a little bit more. Just so contrast-wise, everything makes sense together. It's easy to jump around when it comes to crinkly folds and things. So, okay. Happy with that. Now then, the boots. Let's do the boots. So, I'm actually just going to grab some Noir Black here. Get some on the palette. Ooh. This bottle of Noir Black has lasted me 1 year, pretty much, and it is nearly dead. Which is impressive. I mean, that's, for as much as I paint, that should tell you kind of how much paint you should be using. Because that is a staple color that I use non-stop. Oh, I forgot to reset the palette cam. Sorry guys, give me a second. I always have to unplug it whenever I'm plugging in my USB for my 3D printer. Okay. Focus. There you go. It always resets and turns autofocus on. No room for my coffee. All right, so I'm gonna take some of the Noir Black, 50-50 it with Military Blue. Over here, there we go. Really not a crazy jump in color, but we're gonna use this for the boots. I want them to be black boots, but obviously hard to just do something dark like that, so we're going to be applying some color to it to make it work. Could do like patent leather boots as well. Same color scheme. You just do very, very sharp pointed highlights instead, but we'll keep it simple. And then I didn't get enough Military Blue out, so I need more of that, and then I know I'll need some, a little bit of white. So I'll get a little bit of white. Okay, we're just dancing all over the palette today. Usually I try and like keep it like a matrix. I'll like lay my colors out in a certain way, and then I'll kind of like jump from side to side, but not really happening this time around for whatever reason. Okay. Now, is that a big enough jump? I don't think it is, so I'm going to add a little bit of white. So just a brush tip full directly to Military Blue. It will jump a lot brighter. The white pigment really, really affects this color, so do keep that in mind. Okay, so let's try this again. Bingo. Perfect. Okay. So I'm just doing the sole of the shoe. Which, since I always paint miniatures before I base them, the sole's probably going to get hidden, but that's not too big of an issue. We'll go back and glaze it down too. I always like to go way, like I over highlight with black, so that way I can glaze it down to retain like finer details. It helps you go faster, and it's less sort of work in general. But thanks for hanging out with us today. Hope you're having a good weekend so far. Nice little Saturday afternoon. I'm hoping you don't have to go do your Christmas shopping last minute or anything like that, because I know this weekend is going to be the worst since it's the last weekend before Christmas. I did pretty much all my shopping in November though. Like right after Halloween was when I think I pretty much bought everything, so. And everything's pretty much paid off. Shout out to Klarna and Afterpay. Making Christmas not as scary. I bet they've done pretty well during the pandemic. I'm sure everybody's like, I would rather pay this off like layaway. Or fake layaway. So what we'll do is after we over highlight with this, we'll glaze back down and then we'll go back with like final little touches. This probably isn't the only thing that'll be the same sort of tone of black on the whole mini. But it's good to just kind of get things done in sections at a time, so. Alright, so contrast-wise, I mean, it sort of matches the pants, but it's still pretty punchy. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to make a glaze. Let's move the camera right there. I'm going to make a glaze out of Noir Black. So like I said, right, wash consistency. And then I always clean the brush out. And then just taking the tip of the brush, right? See how I'm just dragging it like that? Now I have too much in there, actually. But I'm just going to grab it onto the tip of the brush. And then that's going to allow me to have enough to go and glaze everything. Zoom back in for you. What I'm doing is I'm pushing and pulling it away from the bright points. So I'm pushing it in from the front of the boot, pulling it down from the top of the boot, right? That allows gravity to pull the pigment in those directions, and it will dry in those directions as well. What we're painting today, too, is sort of your general tabletop level. This is a $5 Patreon class. This is just sort of your standard basic tier. The difficulty and sort of advanced nature of all the paint-alongs go up all of the tiers. So next weekend, right, is our $10 tier, so things are a little bit more difficult than what we're doing today. And vice versa, obviously, the $20 level, we get a actually it's a stream every week, but we work on pretty much like a no-holds-bar, really advanced. I'm just kind of like painting things how I would if I was doing like display level stuff. And that's a weekly stream on long-term projects. So I know most of you have seen it. We've been working on a big 50mm dwarf this week. I'll show you what we were working on. We ended up working on the smoke on this guy. I think he's turning out really, really well. We've still got the majority of his body and his sword and everything else like that, but we had a lot of fun doing the smoke. The smoke on this is like really illustrative, right? With there's like cross hatching and different texture built in. My favorite part is we actually did freehand on that swirl there at the very tip. So like that very small curly Q is not actually sculpted there. It's just like a large rounded end, but like we went in and carved it in with the brush, which was pretty fun. I don't know, we had a lot of fun working on the smoke. Usually smoke isn't like sculpted out crazy like that, but it looks pretty good there. So I'm gonna go back with the Templar blue color, and I'm just gonna do a highlight on just the very edge of the shoes here. Just like that. That way they still look black, right? We don't have to do a lot of work on them. Okay. So now we need to figure out kind of the colors for like the holster that's going on there. Backpack, he's got some shoulder armor, a bunch of bags, his hoodie, and then his cool like Uzi type scenario. So why don't we take an easier break here, and we'll do the metallics first, which should be pretty simple. So I'll just grab Hone Steel. That's kind of where we'll start off. Get that out on the palette. Let me grab my phone out of my pocket too. I felt it buzz on me. Let's see what it was. Still buzzing on me. I'm confused. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's Amazon. It's Amazon in Sydney. Okay. Alright. We'll get enough of Sydney this evening. Okay. So I'm gonna coat this little Uzi right here. Shout out to Lil Uzi. Hone Steel is like my go-to for all things silver from the Reaper line. I feel like it is the most it's the most easily edited or shiftable metallic tone that they have. And they have a ton of silvers, so I mean if you're somebody with a big collection of Reaper paint, you know just how many they've got. This one you can tint warm, you can tint cool. A lot of the times there's some other pigment added in that kind of shifts what you can and can't do with metallic paint. This one's like right down the middle of the road. Same with Army Painter's. I don't remember. Oh, that's a little piece of flash right there. We're just gonna rip that off and ignore it. There we go. The Army Painter silver color. I forget what it's called. I used to use that one all the time though. They make really great metallics too if you don't have access to the colors I'm using. I don't really like any of their other paint at this point, but their metallics are great. And then of course I am a forever huge fan of their strong tone wash. That's like an amazing concoction based on their resin host medium they use for those washes. It's super good. Not to be confused with the giant tin stuff you dunk minis in. That's not awesome. That's not so great, but... And then there is what do you call it, a stock? Like a foldable stock that goes all the way underneath his arm. Okay, let's see. So, starting down here, working our way up, we do have a pistola. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'll get right in between there because it does show between that. Okay. what else we got? So, yeah, he's got a machete. And I don't know if that's just the top of the sheath. Yeah, we'll kind of chill on that. Belt buckle. Cool. And then go ahead and do the shoulder pads. You never know when you may need metallic armor after the apocalypse. I think what's funny is like there are so many apocalypse shows that have existed over time, and one thing that they like don't ever really address is the fact that like mankind would pretty much end pretty quickly without access to clean water, right? And food. It's just like stuff that you take for granted. Now obviously you can like hunt, I guess, depending on the type of the apocalypse that happened, maybe not. But yeah, like none of these shows, you know, yeah, they're searching for like bottled water, I suppose, but at the same time, like that's only gonna last so long, and its availability or whatever. Because yeah, once water sources get contaminated, it's pretty much done, and people are gonna start dying from diseases, right? That like we totally wouldn't normally have issues with. So I think that's pretty much it. Now, you know, you could do the glasses in metallic. We're not going to do that though. We're gonna do sort of like the way that I paint lenses and stuff, or gems, things like that. So that'll be a little bit different than just painting them silver. You could just paint them silver though and glaze whatever color you want them to be in terms of shades. There's the underside of that. I was trying to figure out where that went. But all right, cool. So that's pretty much all of our metals. So I'm going to take some of this intense brown that I had on the palette, a little bit of the noir black, a lot of it of the noir black. There we go. A little bit more. Okay. I just want to make a dirty brown, dirty grayish brown, very neutral. And that'll be our wash color here. You can see how nice that'll look. We can make it darker if we need to. I'm not thinking... Yeah, we may do that actually. Not enough noir black in there. But it's okay. It's funny how like not used I am now to using any pre-mixed wash stuff. Anytime I do, I'm like, what's going on? Like I have bottles of some GW inks here, or whatever they call them, right? Shades, I suppose. And I have no idea how they work. Can't manipulate them the same way. Alright, so we're gonna let that kind of chill, and then I am just gonna take watered down noir black. See, I got some water there on the palette. I'll use this to shade our metallics further. I wanted to just kind of tint the metal, which is what that first coat did. This one's gonna really shade it and tone it down. Now, if you wanted to make him like a Borderlands character, you could have painted maybe the body of the gun of color, right? Like the movie Chappie. For whatever reason, the like neon guns that they had really scream post-apocalypse. I'm not sure why. But you could have done that. You could do some weathering, some chipping. But we're not really gonna do that. We're just kind of keeping it simple. Remember, next weekend as well, we're doing an Eldritch class in terms of like an Eldritch color palette. I actually don't remember what that miniature even looks like. So give me 2 shakes as I try and figure out. Here it is right here. Okay, so yeah, next weekend is Kaiser Stedwick. Let me see what that is. Mersaluth. Ah, yeah. So Kaiser, this was one of the ReaperCon minis, and we'll probably do some object source lighting because he has a lantern hanging over his shoulder. So obviously that screams glowiness. But I'm happy with the wash there. I feel like we've got it down to a sustainably rustable level there. Okay. So, the hoodie that he's wearing is actually tucked underneath a button-up shirt, and the button-up shirt is rolled up, revealing the hoodie underneath. So he is layering to the max. So I'm wondering what color we should do the button-up shirt. Let's do red. Do red, shall we? So, we take spattered crimson. Make sure to spin that. This color likes to separate. We'll go back and highlight up the metals before we're done here. I navigated away from my little monitor deal. A little monitor deal. Oh, that's very annoying on YouTube. Didn't update the title. Boo! I'm so mad at the Streamlabs stuff because it doesn't work. You would think, if you're paying them, that it would work correctly, but it doesn't. That's how it goes. Alright. So we'll ignore his tactical suspenders here and start our base coat. Now this color will require 2, just because it's not a very strongly opaque color, meaning the coverage isn't great. But that happens sometimes with reds. It's usually not the strongest pigment on the block. And remember, the sleeve is rolled up. Okay. We'll let that dry. You can see as it dries how dark it is too. Very, 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 very dark. Okay. I'm wondering what we should do for his little face mask. What's funny is, like, this reminds me of from the Spider-Verse movie or whatever. Isn't there like one of the Spider-Men wears like a hood and glasses? I don't know if I'm remembering correctly. That movie threw me off because it's like choppy. The frame rate isn't super smooth, and like that stuff gives me like motion sickness immediately. I'm just kind of like, I can't watch this all the way. There's a new coffee place right by our house. It's drive-through only. And we stopped by there today. Pretty good. Not as good as Spider-Man Noir. Thank you, Cran. Not as good as 85 Degree, though. If you guys are in Texas and you are close to an 85 Degree cafe, stop by, because that place is amazing. But if it's your first time going, you want to go at an off hour. The bakery's phenomenal. It's a Korean bakery, and they're knocking stuff out of the park non-stop every day. There's probably like 50 menu items, like a different bakes that they've got going on, and it sells out, so like that's just how good they are. But their coffee is phenomenal. It's called 85 Degree because that's the it's like 85 degrees Celsius or whatever. It's like right underneath boiling point, or I don't really know the science behind it, but it's like right underneath the boiling point. It's supposed to be the best for coffee, and so that's kind of where they get that. But yeah, they've got like salted caramel lattes and all kinds of crazy stuff. Very, very good. And the price is cheaper. Like, you can get a large iced latte there for under $5, which is way cheaper than Starbucks. So the one that we went to though in Texas didn't have a drive-thru or anything. It is definitely a go in and stand in line scenario. And there's another piece of flash here that I missed. Let me cut this off. I hate it. Only because it messes up the primer. That's okay. Oh god. Oh god. Okay. Look at that. He's a part Terminator here. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. Let me get more black on here. Man, I was so mad. I was working on we were finishing up that dreadnought that I showed off a while ago, the Space Wolf dreadnought. Murder Fang, I believe, is the version we built. And literally, as I'm washing, I think I washed the skin on it. Look what I did right here. Do you know how painful that is to do on an airbrushed surface? Like, just cancel the whole paint job, throw it away. But yeah, that made me so upset when I realized I somehow stained the corner of this guy. Oh well. Oh well, mistakes happen. Mistakes happen, guys. That's how you know it's hand painted, right? It's like finding bugs in your farmer's market vegetables. That's how you know they don't use pesticides, right? All right, so this spattered crimson's dry. You can see nice dark red. And I think I always forget if I'm allowed to use certain colors or not, just because of the limited palette. And I'm gonna be insane if it doesn't include. Here we go. Yeah, of course. Okay, Rust Brown. So we're gonna use Rust Brown to highlight. Rust Brown, which really should have just been called some version of orange. Literally that. They should just call it some version of orange. Best version of orange. The kids call that a big oof. Yeah, it was definitely a big oof. Oh, damn it. See, I'm moving all my screens here, pulling. There we go. All right. I believe in kid. Hello, fellow kids. Would you call that a big oof? Okay. Big shout out there to everybody watching out there today. Say a hello in chat too, so I know that you're here. I mean, I know that Cran's here. He's been hanging out and chatting. But we got quite a few people watching from various areas, so if you're not too shy, I don't really care if you're a lurker. It's totally fine. Usually, whenever I watch other streamers, I don't really talk, unless it's like one of my friends, right? Like if I go into Miniatures Den or Shoshi, I'll usually say something to them. So I'm just going directly over this color too. I'm not really focused on like a textural highlight currently. I'm just trying to block in color. Hey Kyle, hey Richard, hey Robert. We will be continuing that raffle today, but you and this evening, that is, since we had the weird technical error yesterday. But you and Rob are pretty much competing for it, so we'll see who gets it. Probably won't arrive. Well, if I get it in the mail on Monday, I don't think it's getting to you by Christmas. But you'll have a cool ornament for next year. You know, little 2020 keepsake. Or I guess, right, like if you're one of those people that leaves your tree up till New Year's, then you'll be alright. I know I got some of those ornaments in the mail today. Also also sent out a bust, not painted, just as a gift. 3D printed one. It was a Mandalorian bust I printed off yesterday. Turned out pretty good. It was like the last print that I did before I perfected my new method of doing like super fine supports anchored by some big thick boys, which just means way less damage on the minis. I finally feel like I've upgraded from needing pre-supported 3D prints versus doing it myself, which if you are somebody that does 3D printing, you know that that's like a stage you gotta level up to get to, pretty much. Okay, so I'm happy with this. Now this isn't like our final tone here. We're gonna glaze it with clear red when we're done. So I'm gonna take the rust brown and some of the tan skin that was on the palette already. Add some water to it. Let's see, is that even... Nah, we're gonna add more. So I would say 50-50. It should look like a coral color. A more orangey version of Old West Rose, if you got that Reaper color. It's a good reference. Okay, so now, going up here to the top of the chest. And this is sort of a highlight color that is going to be showing through the glaze, so that's why I'm kind of applying it the way that I am. You know what, we may actually do one more before we glaze too. I feel like we should, because there's not a lot of surface area on the button up. So yeah, I'm gonna take another like big brush full. You can see the tone. So really this is like a rosy skin tone pretty much at this point. It's like tan skin if you were blushing. That's kind of the color we got. And I'm just doing the very top of the chest, get it even brighter, and shoulder. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab some clear red. Let's back this guy out. We'll do some airbrush tinting at the end of this paint job too, just to give him some cool shadow vibes here. Again, if you joined late, today we're working on a free, for everybody to see, Patreon class. This is the first miniature of our next 6-month cycle. So first out of 12, pretty much, that we have planned. I always like to go back and do a free sort of preview-ish video for everybody. You can also see a more advanced paint along for free if you go to minipainting.studio/free. You can see one of the $10 tier videos to kind of give you an idea of like the difference. That video is a stone giant carver where we're painting stone texture. It is a lot of like layering, glazing, brush control, texturing, things like that. That's why that one's more advanced. As you work your way up through the tiers in Patreon, I kind of get more and more advanced in the technique. If you watch the Miniature Monday stuff, that's close in comparison to the $5 level of classes. Similar, just a little bit different. So you can see as this dries, right, the glaze is going to subvert some of the harsher brush strokes, and you're just left with a super rich red tone. That's kind of why I enjoy doing that a little bit more. You can tell, especially on that right sleeve here, it's just kind of how it smooths everything out. And what you're left with, right, your highlight color is always going to be like pure red, which is hard if you are layering your way up from a dark red, because you need to stack more and more and more and more and more of that pigment. So I like to use colors that require way less, right? Which is why I mix in a skin tone, things like that. I wouldn't want to use white, and I wouldn't want to use yellow. The yellow is going to jump to like a weird off orange color and not red. White is going to just go straight pastel. When you glaze red on top of it, it'll look like it's pink in the highlight. There are some old school painters that paint in a way that they still highlight reds to make them like pink, and I just don't think that's not my vibe, right? So I'd rather find a method that allows you to just get like a pure red in my highest highlight, which, you know, using a more neutral color gets you that whenever you glaze it. So that's kind of why I do it in that way. All right, so the hoodie. I'm trying to decide if we should do anything cool with the hoodie. If we should do like a Bape hoodie head, right? That'd be kind of funny to do freehand on it, but let me see. Let me see how crazy it would be. I did it one time on a big 3D print that I did, but let me see. I haven't worn any of mine in so long that... What's funny is Sydney wears like all of my Bape stuff now, funny enough. All right. It's because I'm too fat to wear it. Spoilers. Spoilers. All right. Let me see if we have enough room. So if I'm looking at the side of this thing, luckily it's not, is it cool on both sides? It's cool on both sides in terms of how much it's actually like... Okay, I think that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna do... I don't want to do camo because I'm not good at doing camo. I'm just really not. But you talking smack? Oh great, Sydney's in the chat. Well, yeah, I'm talking smack about myself, not you. So let's see. So I'm gonna grab jungle moss, and then we'll mix it with the skin tone to make kind of like a army green color. Yeah, we were just talking about, you know, the stream later and how it's going to be great. So I'm going to use Noir Black here. Just to make sure. We've got good coverage. Okay. So... see, we're gonna use this green color, add a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of that bronze color as well. There we go. That looks really good. I need a little bit more. That will be serviceable for us. And then I want to split this down the middle. I know this is out of focus, but just putting a base coat. So 1/2 the hoodie. And that would include the sleeve. He is wearing gloves, so only part of the sleeve. Cool. Now then, camo-wise, I feel like this needs to go a little bit brighter, but Maybe if I mix in, let me see, I'll just mix in more of this color here. What I need is like some yellow mixed into it. We can do that. We can do that. I'll take some marigold yellow. It's dark enough to where it's not gonna like ruin the world here. Wow, that is so bad. I should have shaken that. Okay. That's better. 2 brushfuls of that goodness. And we'll just recoat this. Okay. All right, we'll let that dry. We'll do some camo freehand and then freehand on everything else. I guess we should highlight up the black too. So we'll go ahead and do that. Got some white here, mix it in with our noir black, and I will get some water in. Now this is way down here on the palette. There we go. We've almost filled up the palette already today, so I'm just kind of skipping around to make it work. So really, I feel like, I guess it's like this right here. I'm just straightening up the middle portion. What makes this weird, right, is that the hood fans out, like it isn't even, right? So you can see it pulls up higher to the left, but that's not actually the middle of the hood. The middle is right there. So it's a little bit confusing. I mean, it's realistic, right? But when you're looking at it in terms of placement, it is kind of odd. Okay, elbow, and then I'll glaze it down, and then we'll do some camo work. Okay, more black for the glaze. And I'm just gonna apply the glaze like right where the brush strokes are, headed into shadows and areas like that. So right about there. Up onto the arm. And there you go. You can see how it smoothed it out really quickly. I'll do a little bit more. Then we'll highlight back up. There we go. Okay, so camo I am really bad at, so I know that's what the confidence everybody wants from something they're paying for on Patreon, right? But sometimes it's good to know. I need to experiment sometimes. Okay, so let me pull up this image again. Where are we? Right here. Let me just search. Boom. Perfect. Okay, so it's like a darker green and then black. So I'll just take our jungle moss from up here. How do they do it? Just kind of like that. Now I'm obviously not going to include the Planet of the Apes ape that's like hidden in their camo pattern because I'm not insane, but we will attempt somewhat of a camo pattern. So it's kind of like clouds and okay. So I'm just kind of freehanding splotches here. Little beans. Think of it like you're doing, you know, one way to think about it is that you're doing like surprised eyebrows. That's kind of the shape I'm going for over and over. Maybe the way that you like draw seagulls. I don't know why I always think seagulls, but like birds in flight when you're a kid. You know what I'm talking about, where it's like this? So, well, this color is like terrible to do that, but I'm doing like just a curve like this, kind of Real easy peasy. Okay, then I'm gonna take Noir Black. Noir Black's getting all the fun today, man. And then this color gets layered on top in a similar connecting way. And you can like invert the direction of the curve, and that usually helps sell the overall effect. Again, I'm really not great at camo. I can pretty much I can make something that makes you like go, oh, that's camouflage. But I'm definitely not winning any stenciling awards or anything like that, that's for sure. But again, the focus of the hoodie is definitely not the camo feature. It's what we haven't done yet. That is the fun part. Okay, we've done that. So now, this is gonna be the hard part though. So what I need to do, how should I do this? Oh boy, this is gonna be a lot of fun, a lot of fun here. Okay, so it's done in two steps. I'm gonna take rust brown. Oh, that's camouflage, yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna take rust brown and clear red to make like a relatively simple red here. I'm gonna start on the black half of the hoodie, just to be a little bit easier. And the shape goes like that, okay. So I'm gonna do a downward curve on that side. I wish this arm wasn't in the way, that'd make life easier. What I'm doing is I'm aiming for the glasses, so like that's how you're gonna be able to match it on both sides, is just follow the glasses. And I'm not like copying the pattern exactly, I feel like that'd be too, we don't have enough room to do that, so I'm just doing this very simplified version. But what it is, it's a shark mouth. Okay. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use white. Really, I'm gonna dirty it up and make it a little bit gray. It doesn't need to be pure white. If we're gonna pretend it's highlighted, we can glaze on top though. Actually, that's what I should do. Okay, so this is then going to get a line. Like that. Brush keeps drying on me by the time I hit the other side. White has a tendency to do that to you. Okay, and then it needs to go up about halfway like this. So I'm gonna be aiming for pretty much the top of the forehead. So like this. Okay. And I can actually see it on the edge, so I'm just gonna... That should be about the same point, right? Yes. Okay. Then we need some eyes, and the eyes are simple enough. Kind of a teardrop shape. I can just do it from above, actually, to mirror it, but... So to make sure they're positioned pretty much in the same spot. There we go. Okay, so now then, to go back and do some teeth, you need to make sure the brush is wet. And then from the bottom row, same thing. It goes up over the red stripe. I got a hanger on the very end of this brush here. Hold on. That's what's been giving me problems. Okay. A little something like that. Then back to more black. Let's see, red eyes, okay. Then outlining everything, correct? Yeah, so then outlining the top like this. And bottom. Just pretty much framing it. So like everything you just did, you're gonna frame back with black. And then going back in with our red, you're gonna wanna do eyes kind of facing up like this. And there we go. So we can make that an interesting hoodie. Then I'm just gonna take some noir black, glaze the parts that are in shadow, like so. Since it shouldn't just be full-blown saturation. All right, so now then we've got glasses, face mask, and all kinds of other accessories here. Let's do the glasses. Glasses will be very simple. So I'm gonna take our gray that we already had mixed. Let's see, I need another pigment here. Okay. kind of outlining that highlight. Then we need white. Okay. Oh my gosh. Messages from Sydney here. Okay. So I'm gonna take white. Very thin. Just go around the edge. And then I'll just kind of pick like the top, I don't know, let's say right corner here. And I'll do a much larger just dot. Like that. And then let's do, just pick a random color, I suppose. I'll do let's see, something sort of futuristic-y, so maybe a phthalo green. Let's do that. Phthalo green's clogged. Can't use it. So I'm gonna glaze this on top. We'll let that dry. We'll highlight it up again. For the face mask itself, let's just do kind of a muddy skin tone here. We'll highlight it up. I'm going to push this closer to the bridge of the nose. I'm assuming this is like an old t-shirt or something. And I'll add some white. I'm looking for more of like an ivory color for this next color. And then I'm going to go back and grab the skin tone here. I'm just going to glaze with that on top of the darker areas, so that way it just kind of works itself out in the shadows. So going front, or actually pulling towards the middle like this. See how on the right hand side it's way smoother now? So I'm going to do the same thing here on the left. So I'm pulling it from the shadows towards the center, right? That's how I'm getting it to taper. Okay, not bad. Go back with the white here on the glasses. Let's do 2 dots. Boom, boom. Now then, there could be actual skin on that forehead. So I'm going to take rust brown in our skin tone. I'm just going to make a very deep, like rosy kind of tan. And I mean, it was the smallest area right here, but it does count. So I'll just throw a little bit of color there. And then back with Noir Black because, or well, not Noir Black, but any dark color you have, but the hoodie actually extends into the shirt right here. So I just need to darken that. All right, so straps, gloves, additional accessories. So, oh, backpack, right. Okay, so let's do these straps. Let's grab intense brown. I think that'll probably be okay for us in terms of highlighting up. You could do black if you wanted. I just feel like doing a better brown would probably work. Ugh. Something just fell. Hit my palette. Cam. Alright. So again, we're doing a free Patreon weekend. You can check out everything that we offer on Patreon, patreon.com/minipaintingstudio. We do multiple classes every single month, depending on what tier you're on. And the second you sign up, starting at the $5 tier, you get access to over 70 hours worth of classes that are all in a backlogged catalog. I know there are quite a few Patreons out there that do not give you like continued access. That's kind of one of the things that makes mine different from the pack, is that I always have an archive of stuff available afterwards. So, if it's something you've been interested in, that is the best way to support me. It's pretty much the only way I get an income is through Patreon at this point. So, thank you in advance to anybody that's new that signs up. And of course, thank you to all the patrons that have been here forever. We've got, I mean, people stick around forever, it seems. I believe the very first patron I ever got, I still have from like 3.5, 4 years ago, so. I do appreciate it. So we're just going back, we're adding intense brown to all of the bags and additional straps, things like that. See what else we're missing here, really. So we've got those in the front, and then armor. Okay, so I do want to go back and highlight some of that red a little bit more. We'll figure that out here in a second. I need to delineate those edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take rust brown and mix it with marigold yellow, and that should work. Hey Chris, how's it going, man? If you guys will be available later again this evening, again at 7 p.m. CST, Sydney and I are going to be back for the holiday raffle. I'll be finishing up the ornament that I was working on yesterday. She'll be working on a new illustration. Currently, there's not a ton of entries in terms of like, I mean, the huge episode 365 raffle that we did like a year ago, you know, we had... I don't even know. There were like 400 entries or something crazy, but this time around, right, you definitely have really, really good chances. One ticket is $1, and you get the ornament that I've been working on, and you also get a free signed art print of the print of your choice from Sydney. So that is pretty cool. You get to print or pick whatever you want, and she'll get it printed and sent out to you. I'm not quite sure what highlight color we should use for all this stuff now, but we'll have to get that figured out. I think we may just wash it all down to kind of segment it out. What color should we do the backpack too? That's kind of what I'm thinking about, is like what would work there. If you have a suggestion, I mean, we could do blue. Blue could work pretty well. Maybe purple. Let me know in the chat, and I can probably roll with it. As we do that, though, let me clean up the red. So I'm going to take Marigold Yellow and Rust Brown. The reason why I like Marigold Yellow, so I was explaining this to Stuart the other day. It's really nice because, so when you look at Marigold Yellow, it looks orangey, right? Like it's very deep. However, the pigment is what I used here to do the yellow on this droid assassin. Like when you actually glaze with it, there's more yellow pigment than white, I would say, and that's what allows it to be such a good utility color, because it won't pastel whatever it is you're working on. So I'm going to take our Rust Brown, a little bit of clear red, drop it right here, Marigold Yellow, actually like a lot of Marigold Yellow, there we go. Not quite a skin tone. Almost orangey, you can see it there. I'm going to use this to kind of delineate some of our details from the shirt. There we go. I think that helps the cause. Yeah, there we go. This folded edge wasn't bright enough compared to the sleeve next to it. Yeah, that works a lot better. Could go brighter too. Let me see. That's about as bright as I would go, right around the neck there. Okay. So I like that better. Alright, so I'm just looking at everything. Let's do, I'm actually going to mix that same color we just did with our intense brown. Nice. Okay, so this is a really rich, saturated brown that is not a yellow ochre, which is what we did for the pants. So I'm just going to be using this. I'm actually going to add a little bit of white too to pastel it out just slightly. It's still really red. There we go. This will be a great highlight color for all these bags. That looks good. Okay. Now then, this class, let's see how long we've been
live. Normally, all of our classes are scheduled for up to 2 hours. Normally, they last about an hour and a half to hour 45. Sometimes they go over. We've had 3-hour plus classes before. But I would say close to, I mean, we almost have 100 people on the Patreon right now. And I would say maybe 5% are able to make it live, because that's kind of the deal, right? They're always available for you afterwards to go back, paint at your own pace. They're all done through YouTube. Today we're just doing it live as a preview for everybody to hopefully get some new Patreon people signing up. But let me see. Yeah, so we've been going about an hour and a half now. This is pretty good. This miniature could have been painted super fast. I mean, depending on what you're doing, right? Trying to do the bait pattern freehand, right? Like all the little extra bits we've sort of gone back and added into the design here, extended the life of the paint job. Next weekend, we're doing an Eldritch-themed paint job that is for the Scholar Plus tier, so that $10 tier and above. We're going to be doing some object source lighting. The miniature's sweet. It's got a lantern. It's the Kaiser Sedgwick or whatever. It's the Cthulhu Portsmouth-themed looking guy from the ReaperCon miniatures that they put out for ReaperCon last year. So he's going to be a lot of fun, I am sure already. He's got a lot of great expressions, so we're going to have fun. So that'll be on the 26th of the month, and that will be the last paint job probably that I do for the year. I'll probably take a little bit of time off. That's not true, actually. I'm always painting. I always have stuff I need to be working on. In my head, it's like I fantasize about being able to like have a guilt-free break, right? Which I haven't been able to do in years. So that's kind of how that goes. Oh, you know what I just thought of? What if we did yellow gloves, like yellow cleaning gloves? Like he has dishwasher gloves on? I don't know why I just thought that. I feel like that'd be really funny. But, alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. What I want to do now, though, is go back and highlight up our metals. Look at this palette. I'm running out of room. This is our paint palette for the day, so I'm gonna go back to the right here. That's so funny. I saw that it was a Patreon update, and I was like, oh, we got a new member. No, it was just an update from Cobra mode, but they're showing off a new sculpt. Look at this guy. That's pretty cool, right? I really like the scrolls, the hat. I like a lot of their aesthetics that they put out. Really good stuff. Okay, so let's highlight our metals. Okay, let me try English again. We can rewash them. Now, I may be losing my mind, but go ahead and try and say that at home. We can rewash. We can rewash them. And I'm going really thin. That is one thing about Reaper metals, is that you can typically thin them slightly. Now, you can't really, like, glaze with them, but you can... Now, if they're a colored metallic, they're a shaded metallic, which they do have quite a few. There's, like, a red, a blue, there's a green, a purple. Those you can glaze with, surprisingly enough. They work really well for that purpose, but... Otherwise, it just helps you be more accurate. And I don't think for any particular reason, like his shoulder armor or anything would be really grungy, so that's why I'm not kind of doing it in that way. Now you could paint the shoulder armor like it's a, you know, maybe you wanted that to be some kind of like caution sign, like a road sign that they've cut up and turned into armor or something like that. That'd be pretty cool, right? Up to you really with that. Let's get some more noir black out here. Dude, I need to fix this really bad. Hold on. This is shameful what I'm allowed to gum up on the inside of that. There we go. Now I can actually put the lid on. Okay. It's been like half on for months. Alright, there we go. Okay. The dish glove? Alright, we'll do the dish glove. We will glaze with marigold yellow. So we'll do the exact thing I was talking about, right? Like why I like using that color so much for yellow. I think it just works really well. To be fair here, I am just kind of over brushing on the backside for that highlight, but not crazy. Then I want the silencer to look black, or really the barrel. I don't know. I want this to kind of just look like a silencer, so I'm gonna make it make a little bit of a more pigmented glaze here with the noir black, and we'll go over it like that. So hopefully some of that metallic will still shine through. Okay. Now then, we want dish gloves, huh? So, what I'll do, we need... I'm just going to get a whole new palette. I'm not even going to mess with this, so I'm going to get rid of this. Do I even have water? Yeah, I do. This is like the last day I'm going to use this same sponge. I need to nuke it. I use hydrogen peroxide to clean them, because hydrogen peroxide will kill bacteria, fungus, all that stuff. So if you've got mold growing in your wet palette sponge, anything like that, it will just nuke it out and dissolve it very nicely. All right, so I'm gonna take tan skin, surprise, surprise, and get some white out on the palette, surprise, surprise, and then we will glaze it with marigold yellow. Look at how dirty that is right next to that. I should have cleaned my brush out. That's terrifying. I was about to mix it into the color. Okay, just move down here then. All right. I can't really see what's happening with the gloves here necessarily. If I had zenithal the mini, I probably could see easier. But so what I'm doing is I'm just kind of feeling with this paint. Like I'm not doing any brush work that is going to count, so to speak. I just want to know where everything is, each finger. Okay. That's going to allow me to kind of set in the contrast here. Now this arm, what's funny, it goes up the arm so much further on the other hand. But hand sculpted mini, this is not a digital mini. So there will be those perfect imperfections that you get. Okay. Backpack. Keep forgetting about the backpack. Oh, and the machete. Okay. Alright, we still got some work to do. You really can't see anything on the backside of that, but it's okay. Alright, I'm gonna get white. Now I'm gonna be paying attention where I'm putting highlights and everything. If you want to see another preview Patreon lesson, you can go to minipainting.studio/free. That is a video of the stone giant carver from Reaper. Really great paint job. Had a fun time doing it. It was one of those paint jobs where it transforms so drastically between the beginning and finishing stages. I feel like we were fishing with this guy for a little bit too, but now it's all coming together. And pretty much white. Okay. Now I'll take marigold yellow and glaze that. Now I do have clear yellow, right? But it's clear yellow is so bright, and this is a little bit dingier, so I think that'll work better for us. Pretty much wash consistency. Get rid of most of it. Just the tip of the brush, and then glaze on top. And then I may take some clear orange to tint it down. Let's see, clear orange. Marital yellow. That'd be pretty funny. Now I'm just going back with clear orange. You can see it shades it down nicely. Once again, glaze consistency. you go. Definitely think that works. All right, so we're missing backpack and machete. Let's just do like a quick and easy blue on the backpack. So we already have military blue out here, so why don't we just use that plus white and then clear blue. So just going in and attacking this. Adding white. I'll be outlining different sections here with this first before doing any tapering. That way we kind of know. But I do appreciate you guys hanging out with us. If you're not a member of the Patreon, I hope you can get something out of it. Or if you do have the exact same mini, or you want to buy the same mini and paint along, feel free. And I'll be excited to see the patrons painted version, because a lot of people were excited about the sort of modern stuff that we're going to be working on this time around. Sometimes the 6-month cycle is full of nothing but fantasy minis. Sometimes we branch out and just do random stuff. This time around, I picked a bunch of different things that I thought would be fun and different. So now the Patreon's been going on for years, right? It's just kind of like, what can we do that's a little bit different, but just still just as fun? Gotta keep things fresh in the paint room, you know? Okay, so that's pretty easy. Drastic highlight. Take the clear blue. We're gonna glaze that on top. And then we'll get the airbrush. We'll do some shadow, and it'll be finito. Again, most Patreon classes are scheduled for 2 hours. Normally they don't take that long. This one, we went a little bit further with some of the details, so it did take a little bit longer than usual. But we always try and aim for 2 hours or under, usually between that hour and a half mark. Hour 45 minutes, pretty standard. So it doesn't take up all of your afternoon. Looking forward to the snake. What a... snake? What? What snake? I need to go look up. We have a snake. Let me see what we got. Anti-paladin, mutant, female warrior, Tengu. Oh, the giant snake. Oh yeah, so February the 13th, we're doing red and black friend of Jack. So we're gonna be painting a coral snake. That'll be fun. I had to get a refresher of what was even on the menu. I feel like I should put we should put, oh my god, sorry, I'm slamming the camera. We should put Jansport or like LL Bean right there on the backpack. Okay, and then the machete, this is completely going to be phoned in, so I'm just going to use the military blue here. We'll pretend the straps are black. Okay, fair enough for that. Now then, airbrush. I don't know what colors. I think we'll do purple for our shadow. So I'll take clear purple, wherever that is, right here. Using the good old Vexorama here. I don't know which needle I'm using. I'm using the silver needle, not the black one. So whether that's the big or the little one, I don't really know. I haven't noticed a big difference between the two other than the maximum spray you can get. But the only time I ever use a maximum spray is if I am base coating or like priming or varnishing. So I never would even know, right? Like that's what I was doing. So now I've got that. Pop him off the base here. Okay, so from below, we're gonna do a nice nadiral application. Nadiral applications of color, of course, are when you spray from below rather than the top. It's just the opposite of zenith. Easy way to implement nice color tones. There you go. I feel like that's pretty good. Clean this out. Kill that, and then I am going to grab actually a little bit of the clear purple. Right here, just on its own. Do some manual work. Put some in the shades. I'm just glazing with this color to give us a unified hue. Purple's pretty post-apocalyptic, right? A lot in the inner thigh there. And remember, this is clear pigment, so even though it looks super, super opaque, it will dry way more saturated. You can also just get your brush wet like I am now and just run it wherever you've got that hard edge and it will taper. A little bit on the back of the head there. And I would say that is pretty much it. So, thanks so much for hanging out with us this weekend on a free Patreon class. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, I always appreciate the support. If you check out patreon.com/minipaintingstudio, the second you sign up, you get access to 70 to 80 hours, I haven't looked, of class content with new classes happening pretty much every week, depending on which tier you're on. If you are at the $5 level, it is usually the second weekend of every single month on Saturday at 1 p.m. CST. And that's pretty much how it goes. We will be streaming again